Welcome, everybody. This is the Leadership Forum 2023 edition, and Jo Owen, consultant for over 100 global companies, joining us for a conversation. Good morning, and thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
So you just did your performance on the stage. How was it, and what were the major highlights of it?
So I really enjoyed the event, and I just want to thank Performance Strategies for inviting me. It was lots of highlights, including a world premiere of the Tribal Guide to Global Teams. I was talking about the future of management through the lens of traditional societies, which seems very unusual, but it does actually work, because when you look at tribes, you discover the eternal lessons of survival and success, lessons which were true 1,000 years ago, lessons which are true today, and lessons which will be true even in 1,000 years from now.
And what do you think is going to be the major challenge for the leadership of the future? Because the topic this year is Lead the Future. So you kind of mix the past with the present and the future. What do you think is going to be the major challenge for leaders, management overall?
So what we're seeing at the moment is a real sea change in the nature of leadership. And the move to hybrid work is just one part of that that's accelerating an underlying trend, which is a crisis of control. So in the past, bosses could basically tell their teams what to do. Bosses had all the power, coercive power. Today, you've got a highly educated workforce, a professional workforce, and standard operating procedure for professionals is that they think that management is a waste of time, and they can probably do your job better than you can. And they really don't want to be controlled. So managers now have to make things happen through people who don't want to be controlled, or they don't control at all. Because you've got to make things happen through people in other departments, you've got to make it happen through customers, through suppliers, through stakeholders, through partners. This is a much, much harder world. So in this world where you're now having to learn without all that formal control that you had in the past, you're having to learn a new set of skills around influence, persuasion, building your networks of trust so that you become the colleague that people want to work with, not the colleague they have to work with.
So do you think in this case we have to diversify between managers and leaders?
Okay, so there's been a long discussion about what is the difference between leadership and management. Let's start, well, I will give you the only statistically proven difference between leadership and management. So stand by, here it is. Leadership sells more books. I've written How to Lead and How to Manage, Myths of Leadership, Myths of Management. Every time you put leadership in the title, it sells more books. That is a tragedy, because it devalues both leadership and management. If everyone wants to be a leader, that devalues leadership. If no one wants to be a manager, that devalues management. So, leadership versus management, what's the difference? Leaders, you have to be able to define leadership. And here's the only definition that I believe works. Leaders take people where they would not have got by themselves. That sounds really boring, doesn't it? But it's not. It's revolutionary. It's revolutionary because it says that leadership is nothing to do with your position or title. It's about what you do. So you can be at the top of the organization, but if you're not taking the organization where it would have got by itself, then you're not leading. Equally, you could be a hospital porter, rearranging all the wheelchairs and where they are in the hospital, and you're leading. Okay? So leadership is about what you do, not about your title. It's much more democratic. Management, in many ways, is much harder, because at the top, you've kind of got the power, you've got the control. No one's telling you what the exam question is. You're deciding what the exam question is. In the middle, you're being pulled in every direction. You've got multiple bosses, multiple stakeholders. You certainly haven't got enough resources for all of your responsibilities. So you're having to make things happen through other people. And this is where we get back to the big challenge that we were just talking about. You have to make things happen through people you don't control or don't want to be controlled. That changes everything, makes life much harder, but much more exciting, because this is a world where managers are going to be AI proof. AI can do lots of things. It's very good at pattern recognition, and a lot of management used to be about pattern recognition. But if you're trying to make things happen through people you don't control, AI isn't going to do that. It can come up with the rational and logical answer. It can't build that commitment, that emotional commitment and buy-in that you need from the people that are going to help you and support you.
So what you said is really important. It also highlights the huge change of the labor market, I think, nowadays. So do you think managers and leaders you are talking to kind of perceived got the message? I mean, do you have this feeling? I'm not referring only to the leadership form, I'm referring in general.
Look, this is a slow-moving revolution in the nature of leadership and management. It doesn't sound big, but as soon as you move from a world where you make things happen through people you control to a world where you have to make things happen through people you don't control, that says you have to learn a whole new set of skills around influence and persuasion and building networks of trust. The reality is, as with all revolutions, some people will make it and others won't. So it's brutal. And the hybrid work revolution, everyone talks about, well, what's the future of the office? To be honest, I don't care about the future of the office, because the hybrid revolution isn't about that. The hybrid revolution is about the very nature of management itself. As you go remote, again, that ability to control people becomes much, much weaker. When you're in the office, you can walk across the office floor and help at will. When you're remote, you can't do that. You have to trust that your team is doing the right thing even when you're not watching them. You have to trust that they're not actually practicing the banjo, that they are working in the way they're meant to be working. And trust is like kryptonite to a lot of old school managers who simply are going to struggle to make that transition into a world of influence, trust, and persuasion.
Thank you so much, Jo, and thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you.